AI yet, that and more right here on the show. So it's an AI forward show. My name is Toya Singh. Let's head into all of the headlines.
UAE makes AI mandatory for kids. AI now a core subject for kindergarten all the way to class 12th. Teaching bias, ethics and algorithms to toddlers, really national strategy of futuristic fantasy. Can India mainstream AI education nationwide? Should it really do that? We'll discuss on the program.
And after that, Kerala mandates robotics for school students. It becomes the first state to make these skills compulsory. Class 10 students are going to be building circuits and coding smart systems. Remember, robotics is already offered as optional in a lot of international schools and schools in cities across the country. But what will this mean, this standardization, with over 4 lakh students learning robotics as part of the school syllabus in class 10?
And not moving away from AI at all, India's first AI film, well, that's real. It's on your screen right now. That's what it looks like. And a movie with 0 actors, 0 crew, just an AI bot. How exactly was this built? Vivek Anchalia will be with us on the program to talk to you all about the experience.
And after that, we take you to the roads as Lamborghini unveils its Temporario in India. It's a 6 crore rupee hybrid supercar, and Overdrive tells you whether or not it's worth that big billing. The UAE has taken a big leap in education policy over the last few weeks by introducing AI as a formal subject starting, and this is the clincher, in kindergarten. AI will now be taught from age 4 all the way through class 12 across every public school in the country. The curriculum includes basics like algorithms and machines versus human thinking, but also concepts like bias, ethics and responsible tech use. Teachers are being trained, lessons planned and provided, and the subject is being slotted into existing classes like computing and innovation without any increase in school hours for students.
Now, the government calls AI a national imperative almost, linking it directly to economic goals and state policy. The UAE has also rolled out AI tools for governments and including a system that can fact-check legislation drafting by up to 70%. Now, that's a cool usage. But in India isn't really far behind in intent at least. AI is part of the CBSE curriculum from class 6 onwards. States like Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra are running pilot projects as well to see to what extent they can actually incorporate it in the curriculum mandatory. And the National Education Policy actually mentions AI as a future critical skill as well. The public platforms like Diksha, PM E-Vidya already sort of host AI content, but the scale and diversity are real challenges. And the fact that it's incorporated so early at a toddler age in nursery, now that's the big headline here.
So how should India approach this moment? Do we need to introduce AI at a younger stage? Do we first need to train the ecosystem around it? So what we mean when we say that is teachers, boards, classrooms, in a deeper sense. To understand this and more, we have with us on the Breakfast Club, Praneeth Mungali. He's the educationist and trustee of Sanskriti Schools. He's going to be helping us decode what it would take to bring AI meaningfully into the Indian school system at an earlier stage. Good morning, Praneeth. Thank you for joining us here on the Breakfast Club. Can you first just start us off by explaining to us how AI is already integrated into the schooling system? So at what class does it start? Break that down for us. And in the syllabus, how is AI taught to students? So what courses is it broken into? What parts? How are teachers trained to teach students it? Just give it all to us.
Sure. So currently in the majority of the schools, especially the CBSE schools, AI is introduced from grade 6 onwards. And there has been a concerted push as a part of an overall policy directive, as a part of the NEP, to make sure that AI is almost understood as a subject of national security. and hence an early introduction and an early exposure is very, very important. And a lot of the foundational aspects, including the ethics, including how to use data science, what are the possible applications, how it's panning out in the future, that's done in a structured manner. And the real goal, I think there is recognition amongst a lot of policy stakeholders that we are now at an epoch, at an age where the technological race is directly going to influence the economic future of the country. And that is how it's been structured for only CBSE schools. Since we're a nation which has a variety of other boards, and there are state boards, there are other boards as well. They're also trying pilot projects, and they're also trying programs to make sure that the immersion is as early and as broad-based as possible. In terms of the development of the ecosystem, the big constraint over here is almost coaching the coaches to make sure that there is enough of a talent pool of educators, because especially in rural settings and places where access to physical infrastructure of computers or access to internet along with the educators is a bit of a bottleneck. And ironically, technology itself is being able to plug in many of these gaps where there are AI tools which are available, which can encourage many first generation learners to have a self-directed pace of learning, including learning AI itself. So that is sort of the macro context.
Got it. Praneeth, my question to you is slightly, I'm conflicted on it myself. We are looking at a reality where AI is now everywhere around us. Every email I read these days, every message I get, it sort of tells me that it is AI written. I'm really missing individual voice, individual sort of expression as well, because AI has now just standardized everything. But then if you introduce it to kids so early, aren't you worried that the basic fundamentals are going to be lost? By that I mean that we are learning how to be sort of prompt managers, right? We are learning how to write a prompt when we know we already have an individualistic voice. Introducing it early to kids could mean that they perhaps never develop it.
I think that's a very valid concern, and in education, pedagogy, as well as psychology, there are certain foundational skills which are called meta skills. And the development of meta skills is very important because these are skills which in turn over a period of time help you acquire other skills. So for students, especially when they are early learners, two of the meta skills which are very important are social emotional skills, as well as the ability to maybe enhance your memory. We're already in an age where, because of an onslaught of social media, because of an onslaught of access to easy gadgets, there is isolationism, there is a tendency to socialize less, and that in turn has a whole set of complicated ramifications for the future of potentially a generation of children whose social emotional skills are not being able to develop because there is an over-reliance on technology as opposed to human interaction. The other aspect in terms of cognitive skills, it's already there for us to see. Maybe perhaps when the generation before the current generation was in school, you had to rely a lot on memory. There was a time when you had to open an address book to memorize a number. You needed to memorize certain things, which are now so easily available that there is almost, the brain doesn't even want to flex those muscles of memory.
Right, but Praneeth, if you're agreeing with me, I would like to know what measures are schools like yours then taking to sort of ensure that kids do have their own voice, they do get the fundamentals right before they start sort of getting AI to assist them?
I think the key here is to make sure, firstly, the recognition that AI or tech per se should not be used to supplant teachers or replace teachers in the roles of parents and caregivers. It's to supplement it. So the right amount of dosage, the enough supervision and what it's being used for, to make sure that it's being used as a teaching tool, as an aid and not as a replacement. So during the school time, there is a conscious effort to make sure that children are firstly educated about responsible behavior, about possibly addictive patterns which can so subtly creep up, and to warn them about that. So sensitizing children and helping them develop healthy technology habits is something which is very important. Schools themselves obviously cannot do this alone, and co-opting parents as a part of workshops and helping them understand that access to tech or access to gadgets is something that they need to be in control of, especially for the pre-teenagers. And even beyond that, it's important that the healthy development of habits is important. That's the first step. In terms of using them as teaching tools and aids, it's something where it's about the right dosage and the right, how early are you going to introduce what?
Yes.
So what's interesting about the way in which the UAE has done it, to speak to your point, is that they've introduced a great deal of critical thinking when it comes to teaching students how to think about AI in the first place before starting to use it. Praneeth, if we could ask you exactly that. It's been 2 years since this initiative was first announced, I believe, that AI should be taught in classrooms. Now, the schools that you teach at, Sanskriti, they are the Sanskriti set of schools. These are schools where you do have, if it's all right for me to say, upper class students, middle to upper class students who are coming there. So these are students who have access and privilege. Now, keeping that in mind, how are the classes playing out? I ask you that because AI is a constantly developing field. So how did you train your teachers to be up to date when it comes to knowing what is cutting edge in AI? How has that gone over the students in the last 2 years? Tell us what's happening in the classrooms.
Yeah. So the two stakeholders over here, the teachers first and the students thereafter, there are regular workshops which are conducted to familiarize teacher with the tools which are available. And then there is a feedback mechanism where there is feedback taken of the lessons learned of the implementation of those tools. For example, there is a tool called Google Read Along. It's for the really early learners where children can read this along and have an aid of feedback of what is being given. So there are studies which are done to see over the course of a year how that is panning out. That is carefully supervised. In addition to that, it's also very, very important to work with the educators to let them know that we're almost the pioneers in the first generation who are going to study the long-term ramifications. So how well you think something works out over 6 months and how well you think something is going to work out over 6 years, that is something going to be very interesting to see, because there are short-term skills that you might readily develop, but if they're going to lead to a deterioration in long-term skill formation, then that is something we're all going to discover very carefully as a society. So whilst we're implementing AI tools, the monitoring of those tools and the impact of those tools is equally very, very important to come up to any firm conclusions.
Okay.
Right, but just to say that all these things sound really nice, I'm often worried about how this will actually pan out in classrooms, even to the point on UAE saying that they will develop it. It's very difficult to. Kids are going to be very curious. They will very quickly find out that AI is able to do a lot of things very quickly, and I'm not sure how much of that will actually translate into critical thinking for themselves as well. But we leave it.
Can we just ask one last question though? Praneeth, to the point that Sanskriti also runs schools that do have sections that are underprivileged in them. In those classrooms, how are you teaching the same things? Is there an adaptation that's done of any kind?
I think the beauty of technology is that it's such a great leveler. When it's broad-based and it's easily available, it actually disrupts the process of a disadvantage for first-generation learners or other people, because self-directed learning is possible. Ironically, the danger itself over there is that because it's so easy and over-reliance on that, self-directed learning can dampen other aspects over the overall learning rubric, which is social emotional development, and making sure that children are socially fit. So it's a trade-off, and it's important that whenever we introduce any AI or tech-based measures, we don't do it in a hurry, and we recognize that children need a variety of skills. They need academic skills, they need cognitive skills, they also need social emotional skills. So just because some other nations are doing some things very early enough doesn't necessarily mean that we need to do the same. We have a set of priorities, we're watching it carefully. And I think especially when we're dealing with the very young kids, it's very important to wait and watch at least for a year and a half to make sure that the short-term acquisition of certain skill development doesn't lead to a harmful impact in long-term ones.
Long term. True. We have to agree with you over there. Thank you so much, Praneeth, for joining us and sharing your thoughts today on The Breakfast Club. All right, so we just talked about how UAE is making AI a subject from kindergarten, right? But while the world talks about tech literacy, Kerala is already building it. And that's an area, remember, where India really lags behind. It is the first state to actually make robots and robotic education compulsory from class 10th onwards.
So over 4.3 lakh students will begin learning real-world tech skills through a new ICT textbook chapter called The World of Robots. Now this includes building smart door systems, using Arduino kits, coding face recognition tools. This curriculum will be upgrading builds on Kerala's earlier AI push, and it starts from class 7. It now expands into class 8, class 9 and class 10. What that means is nearly 30,000 robotics kits have already been distributed, and close to 10,000 IC teachers are being trained to run these classes smoothly. So, how does any of this actually work? Can it scale up nationally? These are the questions we're going to look at.
All right, and to take us through some of these answers, we are joined by K. Anwar Sadhat. He's the CEO of KITE, as it's called, the Kerala Infrastructure and Technology for Education. He's the person driving this initiative from ground. So very happy to have you with us here on the program. Could we start with some basics first? To first just say that when you say robotics is going to be compulsory, what does it mean? Tell us the ABC of how this will be incorporated in the classroom.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. In fact, Kerala starting robotics or artificial intelligence is not a new thing for us, because this ICT is part of our curriculum since 2003. From 2003 we started IT in class 8 and 2004 in class 9, and 2005 information technology was a mandatory subject in class 10, the board examination. Then in 2007 we have completely shifted to free and open source software, and we have this ICT textbook from class 1 to 10. In fact, class 11 and 12, it's a specialized ICT. So coming to the robotics part, it's basically, I have been watching the discussion which my earlier guest was speaking. In fact, it's not introducing any sort of tools or something which makes their job easy sort of things. It basically built on the foundation of coding, and children are analyzing the situation. For example, in last year in class 7 ICT textbook, we have introduced computer vision as a chapter, wherein a child is learning how to capture their emotions through a computer. So basically when they are happy, when they are sad, when they are angry, so how these textures are captured in the computer, the AI cameras and how it works. So the basic building block programs they are doing. So it's basically an extension of programming. At the same time, we have introduced fact checking and fake news identification, deep fake sort of things, how to identify that to school kids. So these are the continuous efforts, and this year in robotics is in the curriculum, and it's not only a theory part. That's what we want to emphasize on. It's a practical thing which children are doing real world experiments and computer enabled assistive devices like automatic sanitation dispensers sort of things. So they will be it will be helping them to do the practical things. So that's in short.
Sir, can we ask you something? About 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when I was in a school that introduced robotics for the first time, and computer science had already been a subject for a few years, you did have a phenomenon take place in which you saw more male students heading towards those classes. There had to be an active effort to encourage younger girls to feel comfortable in those classrooms. Is that a phenomenon you still encounter, or has that been done away with? Right now, do you find that both genders are equally excited about it?
It's mandatory now, yeah.
Basically, all students are attending that actually. No, it's a paper like physics, chemistry, mathematics. You have an ICT paper. So, irrespective of the gender or the location, they all have to attend that.
Right, they have to attend it, but I just mean in terms of student passion, in terms of students who come to you and say, you know, they want to take it forward. That's what I mean. Do you see that that was reached?
Yeah. Exactly. We have given them the practical issues which they address, like identifying the water content in the soil or the level of water pump motor. So this sort of problem, it's sort of a hackathon, ideathon sort of the things which practically they will do that, and they are very passionate to have that. See, the problem here post-COVID, the screen addiction and the issues that are created, over usage of mobile phone has created problems. So you have to make them more creative and active, for which this sort of real-time problem coupled with the technology, that is the mode we have adopted, because we are aware of the issues that if the overuse of digital technology and the socio-health issues related to that. So definitely children are more passionate, and their creativity, it helps them to build their creativity more. Yeah.
Sure. I think, sir, what you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic. And where you differ from, say, AI education is the fact that this is not just consumption of AI. This is making robots. This is finding end-use cases. This is making people really, chew their brains over what is it that tech can really solve for, which I think is so cool. Talking about which, are there some really cool innovation that the kids have come up with that you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, in fact, no, that's what we had a Little Kites program. These robotics came to our syllabus this year, not all of a sudden. We had a Little Kites program wherein 1.8 lakh students are part of that. It's a ICT network of students. Each schools have 20 to 40 students and 2 teachers exclusively for this activity. So last year we have done these experiments with them, and we have different levels of camps, ideathons and all. And the sort of experiment and solution they have come up with, when the disaster made Wayanad district in Kerala, the last year, it was a huge flood, all those kids come. So the solutions came up with them, it was too practical and it was surprising. Similarly, the human-animal conflict-related issues, the electric fencing, this sort of thing, certain actual problem they have find out, and they have coming up with the solution like that. So their thinking and their level of innovations are beyond our imagination. So we just need to inspire it and to help them to nurture further. So that's all.
Sure.
Amazing. Do you remember when we had Airbound, the founder on the show, the drone founder? He said robotics is what had inspired him to build drones. K. sir, if we could ask you one last question. Tell us about the steps you're taking to make this more accessible to all. One is, of course, that textbooks come in 5 different languages. But tell us about the other steps too.
Yeah, it's in 4 languages basically, and steps. See, basically this is available to all 4.3 lakh students in Kerala. See, you should understand that they have to write practical on robotics this year to pass the SLC, the class 10 examination. That means each and every student will have that. These robotic kits are also very customized. It's 700 rupees per cost unit. Arduino board and the sensors, actuators and the circuit building exercises and all, it's very handy, and we have deployed 29,000 across the state. There is no single school or single student left out. So whatever we do, we should ensure that it should be distributed equally without due advantage for someone or like that. And further, this with the aluminis and all, we will be getting at least one robotic kit for 2 kids. That sort of target we will be achieving by July. So each and every student will definitely get the opportunity.
Right, and we're really hoping other states will get inspired as well, because you guys are doing such a great job. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and sharing all those tips. We leave it there for the moment, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
All right, we are actually staying with artificial intelligence, with robotics, and essentially we are staying at the cutting edge of technology after this break too. On the other side of the break, we bring you the director of India's first AI film. The film's name is Naisha. It's a movie with 0 actors and 0 crew. And Vivek Anchalya joins us. He's the director behind this film. He talks to us about how he came up with it, how he went through with it, and its release date. We'll speak to him in just a few minutes.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Lalu Prasad Yadav has expelled his eldest son Tej Pratap Yadav from the party for 6 years, and this a day after a now deleted social media post from Tej Pratap's handle said, or rather spoke of, her relationship with another woman. Lalu Prasad Yadav in a post on X said, and I quote, "Neglecting moral values in personal life weakens our collective struggle for social justice. Therefore, due to the above circumstances, I am removing him from the party and the family," unquote. Tej Pratap's brother Tejashwi also reacted and said Tej Pratap's actions are intolerable and against the values of the RJD and the Yadav family. In the meanwhile, both the BJP and the JDU have mocked Tej Pratap's expulsion, saying that the RJD is on the verge of a complete breakdown. JDU has even questioned Lalu Yadav's silence over allegations made by Tej Pratap Yadav's estranged wife.
हमें ये सब चीज़ें ना तो अच्छा लगता है ना बर्दाश्त हम करते हैं। दूसरी बात, हम अपना काम कर रहे हैं, बिहार के प्रति हम समर्पित हैं और हम जनता के दुख सुख में हम भाग ले रहे हैं, जनता के मुद्दे को उठा रहे हैं। हम नेता विरोधी दल हैं। जहाँ तक मेरे बड़े भाई की बात है, राजनीतिक जीवन में निजी जीवन भी अलग होता है, तो निजी जीवन के फैसले और निर्णय, क्योंकि वो अडल्ट हैं, बड़े हैं, उनको अधिकार है, वो अपना निर्णय, क्या उनका सही होगा, क्या नुकसान होगा, ये अपना निर्णय वो खुद लें। और राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी दल के नेता हैं, उन्होंने अपने ट्वीट के माध्यम से स्पष्ट कर दिया, तो आप लोगों के ही माध्यम से भाई हमको जो है मीडिया में जानकारी मिली।
And in the meanwhile, Jan Suraj founder Prashant Kishore has also hit out at Lalu Prasad Yadav and has said that Tej Pratap has been expelled as Lalu sees Tejashwi Yadav as the chief ministerial candidate, further adding that Lalu Prasad Yadav is playing the politics of caste and the politics of family.
लालू यादव किसको परिवार से निकाल रहे हैं, किसको परिवार में रख रहे हैं, इससे बिहार का क्या लेना देना है। लालू यादव ने क्या कहा है कि कोई यादव समाज का काबिल आदमी है उसको हम नेता बना देंगे। लालू यादव तो आज भी यही चाहते हैं कि तेजस्वी यादव ही बिहार के नेता बने। लालू जी ये कह दें कि अगर वो जात की बात करते हैं, छोड़िए पूरा बिहार का बात, अगर उनको यादवों की चिंता है तो यादव समाज से किसी आदमी को मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा घोषित कर दे, जन सुराज उनके समर्थन में खड़ा हो जाएगा। खड़ा होकर दिखाइए। अरे ये जात की बात करने वाले जो नेता हैं, ये जात की राजनीति नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये अपने परिवार की राजनीति कर रहे हैं, अपने बच्चों की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। इनको किसी की चिंता नहीं है।
Going across to Chandra Mohan for a quick update on the same. Chandra Mohan, बताइए हमें कि राजनीतिक तौर पे इस पूरे अपडेट को कैसे देखा जा सकता है, क्योंकि पहले भी तेज प्रताप ऐसे काफ़ी सारे बयान दे चुके हैं जो आरजेडी को एक ऐसी मुश्किल स्थिति में रख देता है, पर इस लेटेस्ट सिचुएशन को जो फैमिली, जो परिवार की ओर से निकल के आ रही है, इसको अन्य पार्टियां कैसे देख रही है बिहार में?
बिल्कुल, देखिए तेज प्रताप यादव का कल जब से एक सोशल मीडिया पर उनका एक पोस्ट सामने आया था, उसके बाद से ही कहीं ना कहीं परिवार के लोगों का दबाव था। और आपने देखा होगा कि जब वो पोस्ट आया अनुष्का यादव के साथ जब तेज प्रताप यादव का, जिसमें उन्होंने ये कहा कि पिछले 12 सालों से इनके साथ हम संबंध में हैं और अब ये वक्त आ गया है जब लोगों को बताना चाहिए, और उसके कुछ ही देर बाद ये पोस्ट को डिलीट कर दिया गया। सीधे तौर पर परिवार के लोगों का कहीं ना कहीं दबाव था, लेकिन जो जानकारी मिली है उसके मुताबिक अनुष्का यादव के तरफ से भी ये दबाव था कि तेज प्रताप या लोगों को बताएं कि उनके और तेज प्रताप यादव के बीच में पिछले 12 सालों से संबंध है और वो रिलेशनशिप में रह रहे हैं। जाहिर सी बात है परिवार के लोगों को यह नागवार गुजर रहा था और यही वजह है कि लालू यादव ने आज तेज प्रताप यादव को पार्टी और परिवार दोनों से निकाल दिया है। जाहिर सी बात है इससे पहले भी जब जब तेज प्रताप यादव पर सवाल उठे हैं वो सीधे तौर पर परिवार के खिलाफ खड़े हो गए हैं और न सिर्फ तेजस्वी यादव बल्कि अपने परिवार के लोगों के खिलाफ भी जमकर बोले हैं। तो अब जब उनको पार्टी और परिवार से निकाल दिया गया है, अब तेज प्रताप यादव का बयान आना बाकी है। और जिस तरह से लालू यादव ने आज ट्वीट किया और उसमें उन्होंने कहा है कि जो उनके बड़े बेटे लोक आचरण तथा गैर जिम्मेदाराना व्यवहार ये हैं वो उनके पारिवारिक मूल्यों और संस्कारों के अनुरूप नहीं है। यही वजह है कि उनको पार्टी और परिवार से बाहर निकाला जा रहा है और 6 साल के लिए पार्टी से भी निकाल दिया जाए। जाहिर सी बात है बिहार में चुनावी
Welcome back. You're with the Breakfast Club, and it's time to take you through all the stories that are making headlines in India and across the globe. Let's start with the monsoon tracker. Monsoon rains hit the coast of India's southernmost state of Kerala 8 days earlier than usual, marking the earliest arrival in 16 years and providing the promise of a bumper harvest and relief for a grueling heat wave. Now, the monsoon has covered Kerala and parts of neighbouring Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, as well as parts of the northeastern state of Mizoram. That's what the IMD is saying.
Taking you now to Maharashtra, where the Agricultural Department has issued a crucial advisory. And in that advisory, they're urging farmers across the state to refrain from any early sowing, as the monsoon's progress is expected to slow down significantly starting on May 27th, so tomorrow. While the monsoon has arrived nearly 10 days ahead of schedule in the state this year, reaching South Konkan by May 25th, meteorological forecasts suggest a dry spell for most regions in the coming days.
Moving on to Bollywood, Rajkumar Rao's Bhool Chook Maaf is holding its ground at the box office. After 3 days in theatres, the film has managed to earn a solid 10 crore on the first Sunday. Despite tough competition and mixed buzz, the movie seems to be finding its audience gradually. Bhool Chook Maaf, also starring Vamika Gabi, witnessed a total opening weekend collection of 26.05 crore. Directed by Karan Sharma, the feel-good rom-com features a stellar ensemble cast alongside Rajkumar Rao and Gabi.
All right, and moving on now from that, in a move to support the long-term survival of black rhinos, Kenya's Wildlife Service has started the process of relocating 21 of these critically endangered species to a new sanctuary. And what we have for you next is a report. Take a look.
This is the moment a black rhino took off for its new home. Kenya Wildlife Service started the process of relocating 21 critically endangered animals to a new sanctuary on Saturday. The move is meant to help support the species' long-term survival, says Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife, Rebecca Miano.
By moving rhinos from Olpejeta, Lewa and Nakuru, all sanctuaries currently operating at over 100% of their carrying capacity, we are reducing deadly territorial fights that account for over 30% of rhino mortalities.
The newly prepared Segera Conservancy is Kenya's 18th black rhino sanctuary. The area was assessed to ensure sufficient water, forage, and security for the animals. As part of the process, rangers and veterinarians sedated each rhino for safe transport and monitored vital signs during the procedure. Kenya is home to just over 1,000 black rhinos, up from 350 in 1989. According to the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, the relocation is part of Kenya's plan to grow the black rhino population to 2,000 by 2037.
All right, our next story today is a really, really interesting one. What if we told you that an entire film, so its script, its actors, its locations, even the camera angles were all created by artificial intelligence? So what we mean is no film crew, no actors, no traditional sets, just code, algorithm and a certain kind of creativity. India's first fully AI-generated feature film is here.
It's called Naisha and it's a brainchild of Vivek Anchalia, a filmmaker who swapped out studios for servers really. Joining us now is the man behind this machine-made magic. Vivek is with us on TBC this morning. Hi Vivek, thanks so much.
Good morning.
I just want to make sure I'm talking to a real human being and not a bot of yours that you've created and
For
joined us.
For
Yes,
now.
okay, great. Okay. Vivek, congratulations. We've just seen a bit of a teaser and some snippets of that movie. We'll request the producers to put those up as well for people to get a glimpse of what this actually looks like. But what has been your experience and why did you even think of making a film like this?
Okay, so I started dabbling with AI for a pitch deck that I was doing for a light film. Actually, that's when it started. And then I realized there's a lot of possibility there. And then we had some songs that we had created. So I'm a lyricist also. So we had these songs lying in a hard disk, which we could never put out because we didn't have the budgets to shoot music videos for them. And then when this came, we just started as, making music videos for those songs. But at some point, a story started emerging and it just kept becoming bigger and bigger. And yeah, at one point it looked like it would be a movie, so it is now.
So, tell us one thing. If one looks at the trailer, Zen, who is the man that is showing up a lot on screen right now, I think at some point in the film, Zen essentially tells her that I can't be monogamous. I want to love many people. I don't know if that's the right way to summarize it, but that happens in the trailer. Now, was that also AI generated? Did you tell AI what are common script ideas, what are common storylines that sell well in India, and then go with that? Tell us about it.
So no. So actually, it's not completely AI. So the visuals of the film are AI. But yet at the same time, there's a lot of human intervention because where we are right now on AI is a very hybrid model. So like the music of the film, the songs are traditionally created like how they were created for any of my other films. And the video itself, the characters and all, they've been generated on AI, the movement, the animation, all that happens on AI. In fact, we do also have a couple of actors who are enacting for these people on screen. So it's like how motion capture technology works. Like you have Planet of the Apes, where people performed and then that performance was put onto the apes.
Yeah.
So this is pretty similar to that. But yeah, now it's available on your phone, is what it is. What would have taken a big studio earlier, now that technology is available on your phone.
Okay, so am I understanding this correctly? You had an idea. You said, okay, let's do sort of like how you model a house. You get a 3D modeling done. You were just doing a pitch deck for a movie. And then you said, you know what? I don't need humans. Let me just ask AI to sort of generate this. So the entire production is AI. The thinking and creativity is still yours. Music is still yours.
The video production is AI. The audio production is still the conventional way. So it didn't start like I don't need humans. But what happened is it is ridiculously difficult to put a film up, to get a project together. You need actors, you need studios, you need money approvals, and they're usually big. It is not easy to get a film mounted. So while I was pitching for my live projects, and there was these songs and the story that was there, so I thought, why not, not waste this time, and a new technology has come. Let's start playing with it. And yeah, organically it started becoming bigger and bigger and
Interesting, but how long did it take then and how much did it cost compared to say a conventional movie making?
So I can't tell you the exact figure because we are still talking some producers over distribution and other things.
Okay.
But it is less than 5% of what this movie would have cost in real life, because what you see is probably say a film which is a big budget film, right? You have actors traveling across countries, you have ships and you have planes, and the visuals that are there. So this is not an indie film done on an indie budget, right? It's a big budget film done on an indie budget, is what it is.
But
because you have underwater shots. I started in 23, towards the end of 23. And like even now also we are trying to make it better because technology on AI keeps changing every week. Like Google dropped one of its newest model 3 days ago, which changed the game. It's not available in India right now. It's only available in US. And also Kling is coming up with their latest model by the end of this month, is what I've heard. So you have to constantly update these things, which also then cost money. So it's a thing that we are also figuring out, and closer to the release date, we'll probably have to do one more version of the film.
So can I get to the tricky question everyone asks when it comes to AI? So all creators
Right.
ask this question, how do you make sure you're not taking and creating characters that are similar to real life
Right.
people? Essentially, how do you not take inspiration from real things? I believe in one interview, you were actually asked that, for
Yeah.
your character, your main character, so I'm not talking about Zen, I'm talking about the young woman, Naisha. Did you use a Deepika or an Alia as an inspiration? And you
No,
said
no,
no.
I didn't.
No, you said no, and you also said that that's an ethical line that you're not willing to cross. But I do
Oh,
want
yes,
to
yes,
ask
yes.
you over there, isn't all AI pulling from some inspiration? So in a sense, isn't it all derivative?
I'll tell you what my understanding of it is, and what I've learned through these whatever number of months that I've been doing this, that AI is taught exactly like how humans are taught in a class. Like if you were in a painting class, they would show you a lot of paintings. Your brain would then take that information, and when you're asked to draw a painting, you're not really copying a painting, right? You are diving back into that information that you have, and then you're recreating it. So from what I understand, AI, let's say AI has to make an image of a cat. It is shown 1,000 images of a cat, and then it is asked to draw a cat, not copy a particular cat. So that's how this technology works. So yeah, it is being trained like how human beings are trained.
But out of curiosity, the concept
Yeah.
of AI bias, the fact that AI itself can be biased, so AI might also
Yes.
just be drawing from the way all our Bollywood actresses look, but you won't then have a cutting-edge actress who looks different than the standard actresses because your character.
You-
Do you know what I mean? Your
Sure,
program-
I do. But you could, because now you could be very, very prompt specific, and you could make her look like, if you have a very specific image in your head, or if you can even draw it, then you can make that actress, and you can have control over the way they look,
Okay.
their skin color, their texture. I mean everything.
So, what inspired Naisha then, if I may ask?
So my all these songs that we had were created for Bollywood. And also growing up, I was a huge Shah Rukh Khan, Dharma, Yash Raj kind of a films fan. So I don't know, it organically happened that these songs were there. I always wanted to do a love story, and usually they take a lot of money to put those films up. So yeah, it just naturally grew into this space where I could tie a story around these songs.
Okay. Vivek, I do want to ask you that, across the globe, there is now this massive pushback against AI that's taking place.
Yeah.
We've constantly seen a lot of artists in the Britain have actually now pushed the government for a law and saying that we need to protect the rights of the artists, etc. When you come out with stuff like this, what's the response perhaps that you're getting from your own industry mates who
Yeah,
in most
it is
cases
mixed.
not very happy with the
No.
advancements?
No, they are not. They're not. But I'll tell you, in US, UK, there are strong unions for artists to protect them. Right? In India, there isn't. In fact, India is a very closed system where the power lies in the hands of very few. And if you ask most filmmakers out there, they would want to tell their story one way or the other. And this allows those filmmakers. I mean, I would not be surprised in the next 2 years if the best filmmakers of India are not coming from Mumbai. Somebody could be sitting in Kashmir and doing it. Somebody could be sitting in Odisha and doing it. They do not need connects to production houses. They do not need connects to directors. Everybody could be telling their story. So I see it like that. Also, we are not in a market which has a limited amount of, say, demand. We are not in the soap business. It's not like, there are 100 people who will only use 100 soaps a month. Content that way is getting more and more consumed. The hunger for content is more, and as a society, we are growing into a space where we are becoming very individualistic about our content consumption. So that means that, different kind of content is getting created and is getting consumed. We may not be able to make shows or movies which, say, appeals to everyone like how we used to have 10 years ago. But we will definitely have smaller chunks of people who would be our audience for a particular kind of content.
Vivek,
So I think the more the merrier.
do you think directors will still have a legacy? So in the sense that a Sanjay Leela Bhansali film looks and feels like a Sanjay Leela Bhansali film, or a Wes Anderson film looks and feels like a Wes Anderson
Right.
film. Today or in the next few years, where one can so easily say, this is my source material, do you think anyone will stand for anything in the next 10 years?
I think so because, I mean, especially in long format, I don't know that much about advertising. But I think long format is all about the voice of the filmmaker, you know? Like the same technology is available to a Spielberg, to a Cameron, to a Vishal Bhardwaj, to an Imtiaz to a Rashkumar Hirani. Yet their films are very, very different because I think through the journey, the filmmaker is the one narrating the story. So I believe when you sit on the machine, like if Naisha itself with the same technology was to be made by someone else, even with the same script, it would be a very, very different film, right? Because it isn't my voice at this point. So I think the voice of the filmmaker will always be important, and especially the voices which are very, very unique, which are trying to say something engaging, evocative. Then I think those voices will still exist. And yeah, the clutter is going to be there because now it will be available on everyone's laptop. And at some point, we are going to reach a stage where anybody would be able to make a short film or a movie or a music video. So what happens at that time is, I think the unique voices will stand out. But at least everybody gets a chance to tell the story. Is how I'm looking at it.
All right, Vivek, we'll leave it there for the moment. What's the release date, if I may ask?
So we are still in conversation with a couple of distributors. I think we are going to announce one soon, but maybe a couple of months from now.
But this release is on OTT then?
No, so we will have a theater release. I don't know the size of the release, but yeah, we are looking for a theatrical release.
And before that release, as you said, the AI needs to get updated once again. So
yes.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Vivek, we are running out of time. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us so much about the way in which Naisha has been created over the last year and a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right, let's move on now. Okay, and taking you next to this incredible moment. Indian racing sensation Kush Maini etched his name in the history books with a thrilling win in the F2, that's Formula 2 sprint race in Monaco. And as he stood atop that podium, the Indian national anthem resonated through the iconic Circuit to Monaco, sending waves of pride and excitement among the fans worldwide.
Now, this win not only gave him his second F2 career victory, but also made him the first Indian driver ever to win a race in Monaco, which is considered one of the most iconic circuits in the world. And the F1 is also, underway there as we speak. The monumental victory also marks a milestone for Indian motorsport, which has been booming in the past couple of years, if you'll see, with many becoming the first Indian driver to actually conquer the challenge. So as tradition, whoever gets the podium pole position, their national anthem is played. Sit back and enjoy this one.
He's also going to be joining us on the Breakfast Club very soon, hopefully. All right, we're going to be heading into a break. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Lalu Prasad Yadav has expelled his eldest son Tej Pratap Yadav from the party for 6 years, and this a day after a now deleted social media post from Tej Pratap's handle said, or rather spoke of, her relationship with another woman. Lalu Prasad Yadav in a post on X said, and I quote, neglecting moral values in personal life weakens our collective struggle for social justice. Therefore, due to the above circumstances, I am removing him from the party and the family, unquote. Tej Pratap's brother Tejashwi also reacted and said Tej Pratap's actions are intolerable and against the values of the RJD and the Yadav family. In the meanwhile, both the BJP and the JDU have mocked Tej Pratap's expulsion, saying that the RJD is on the verge of a complete breakdown. JDU has even questioned Lalu Yadav's silence over allegations made by Tej Pratap Yadav's estranged wife.
हमें ये सब चीज़ें ना तो अच्छा लगता है ना बर्दाश्त हम करते हैं। दूसरी बात, हम अपना काम कर रहे हैं, बिहार के प्रति हम समर्पित हैं और हम जनता के दुख सुख में हम भाग ले रहे हैं, जनता के मुद्दे को उठा रहे हैं। हम नेता विरोधी दल हैं। जहाँ तक मेरे बड़े भाई की बात है, राजनीतिक जीवन में निजी जीवन भी अलग होता है, तो निजी जीवन के फैसले और निर्णय, क्योंकि वो अडल्ट हैं, बड़े हैं, उनको अधिकार है, वो अपना निर्णय क्या उनका सही होगा, क्या नुकसान होगा, ये अपना निर्णय वो खुद लें। और राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी दल के नेता हैं, उन्होंने अपने ट्वीट के माध्यम से स्पष्ट कर दिया, तो आप लोगों के ही माध्यम से भाई हमको जो है मीडिया में जानकारी मिली।
And in the meanwhile, Jan Suraj founder Prashant Kishore has also hit out at Lalu Prasad Yadav and has said that Tej Pratap has been expelled as Lalu sees Tejashwi Yadav as the chief ministerial candidate, further adding that Lalu Prasad Yadav is playing the politics of caste and the politics of family.
लालू यादव किसको परिवार से निकाल रहे हैं, किसको परिवार में रख रहे हैं, इससे बिहार का क्या लेना देना है। लालू यादव ने क्या कहा है कि कोई यादव समाज का काबिल आदमी है उसको हम नेता बना देंगे। लालू यादव तो आज भी यही चाहते हैं कि तेजस्वी यादव ही बिहार के नेता बने। लालू जी ये कह दें कि अगर वो जात की बात करते हैं, छोड़िए पूरा बिहार का बात, अगर उनको यादवों की चिंता है तो यादव समाज से किसी आदमी को मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा घोषित कर दे, जन स्वराज उनके समर्थन में खड़ा हो जाएगा। खड़ा होकर दिखाइए। अरे ये जात की बात करने वाले जो नेता है, ये जात की राजनीति नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये अपने परिवार की राजनीति कर रहे हैं, अपने बच्चों की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। इनको किसी की चिंता नहीं है।
Going across to Chandra Mohan for a quick update on the same. Chandra Mohan, बताइए हमें कि राजनीतिक तौर पे इस पूरे अपडेट को कैसे देखा जा सकता है, क्योंकि पहले भी तेज प्रताप ऐसे काफ़ी सारे बयान दे चुके हैं जो आरजेडी को एक ऐसी मुश्किल स्थिति में रख देता है, पर इस लेटेस्ट सिचुएशन को जो फैमिली, जो परिवार की ओर से निकल के आ रही है, इसको अन्य पार्टियां कैसे देख रही है बिहार में?
बिल्कुल, देखिए तेज प्रताप यादव का कल जब से एक सोशल मीडिया पर उनका एक पोस्ट सामने आया था, उसके बाद से ही कहीं ना कहीं परिवार के लोगों का दबाव था। और आपने देखा होगा कि जब वो पोस्ट आया अनुष्का यादव के साथ, जब तेज प्रताप यादव का, जिसमें उन्होंने ये कहा कि पिछले 12 सालों से इनके साथ हम संबंध में हैं और अब ये वक्त आ गया है जब लोगों को बताना चाहिए, और उसके कुछ ही देर बाद ये पोस्ट को डिलीट कर दिया गया। सीधे तौर पर परिवार के लोगों का कहीं ना कहीं दबाव था, लेकिन जो जानकारी मिली है उसके मुताबिक
All right, next we take you to a special section on financial markets. It's powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's take a look first at the markets as GIFT Nifty index signals a flat opening for Indian equities on Monday morning. US markets pulled back on Friday from the sharp fall after President Trump announced a 50% tariff on imports from Europe. Asian markets are trading higher in early morning trades today. Gold futures are trading lower. Crude oil is trading marginally higher.
Let's look at the sector in focus this Monday morning. The hotel industry is in a sweet spot due to the growing demand. Now, rising affluence is creating a preference for high-end properties and experiences as well. Demand in the luxury segment is expected to grow at almost double the rate of supply. Favorable demand-supply dynamics will also help sustain pricing growth in the industry. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's listed hotel sector and various other actionable insights on the markets. It's a premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control.
All right, and next and lastly, we'd like to introduce you to our all-new global business news channel, CNBC TV 18 Prime.
Now, it's your new destination for worldwide market insights and India's only premier 24-hour business news channel, giving you now a macroeconomic coverage and strategic intelligence as well. So tune in today. With that, we are drawing our Monday morning episode to a close. It was all about AI, so interesting, from classrooms to production houses, how AI and tech is moving so quickly.
And tomorrow we have that very, very interesting POI. Kush Mehni, as we told you earlier, making the entire nation proud by standing there on the podium. There are so many F1 and F2 fans in India. Millions who actually follow it, put it on TV. So I just think for them especially, it would have been such a moment of pride to finally hear our national.
And I feel like India at the moment, and Indians per se, if not an Indian team per se, is at the cusp of this motorsport dynamics. Remember, a couple of days ago, we spoke to somebody who had cracked F3. Then there are these young kids who are doing F4. And now finally, F2 pole position has gone to an Indian. So we've got our fingers crossed. And we want to know what the future really holds for them at the ultimate F1 as well. So join us tomorrow as we bring you that exclusive chat with him and much more coming up on The Breakfast Class. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
Network 18 decimates Times Internet with over 6 times more unique users on social media. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times. Brought to you by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Lalu Prasad Yadav has expelled his eldest son Tej Pratap Yadav from the party for 6 years, and this a day after a now deleted social media post from Tej Pratap's handle said, or rather spoke of, her relationship with another woman. Lalu Prasad Yadav in a post on X said, and I quote, "Neglecting moral values in personal life weakens our collective struggle for social justice. Therefore, due to the above circumstances, I am removing him from the party and the family," unquote. Tej Pratap's brother Tejashwi also reacted and said Tej Pratap's actions are intolerable and against the values of the RJD and the Yadav family. In the meanwhile, both the BJP and the JDU have mocked Tej Pratap's expulsion, saying that the RJD is on the verge of a complete breakdown. JDU has even questioned Lalu Yadav's silence over allegations made by Tej Pratap Yadav's estranged wife.
हमें ये सब चीज़